Hey everyone, thanks for coming back to the channel, and today we're diving into the first MVD Marquee 4K release, a long-awaited title, and that is Rain Man here on 4K UHD Blu-ray. So in this review, I'll talk briefly about the movie, we'll talk picture quality and some of what went on with this release and why it was delayed, we'll talk audio, packaging, special features, and ultimately give you a recommendation on whether or not this one's worth picking up for your collection. So quickly on the movie itself, obviously everybody knows this film, I think at this point. It's been parodied in other ways, it's talked about all the time. Rain Man, just that phrase has become so well known and well used, and it's a very, very popular movie, right? So how much can you say about it? But what I think I want to point out here when I rewatch this is, like, Dustin Hoffman won the Oscar for this, but I almost think Tom Cruise was the better actor. Like, I think this is Tom Cruise's best performance possibly. And yeah, Dustin Hoffman, yes, he plays a man with autism, and like, I guess at the time, that was like revolutionary. I don't know. He won the Oscar, right? They kind of give the Oscars to those kind of roles. But I do think Tom Cruise was the better actor in this film, and it's still really good. It's a great film. It's a great story, but it just stood out to me, and that's the one thing I wanted to point out when talking about the movie itself, was like how good Tom Cruise was. And yeah, he's not the Oscar winner from this movie, but I think he really should have been. The other thing is, you have to keep in mind, like, this movie is 30 years old. This is a 30-year-old view of like what an autistic gentleman is like, what autism is. And like, I know people with autism. I have some in my family. I know family friends. Like, there's a wide spectrum, and I think for a long time sort of Rain Man equaled autism, but that's not really true. And so just, keep that in mind when watching this. It can be a little bit dated in terms of how it portrays a person with autism. And that it's not like it's problematic or anything, but it's just like a little bit dated view, and it's almost stereotypical in a way, which I think is why rewatching it, I do like Tom Cruise and his performance a lot better. Now, for the picture quality and the visual side of things, this is a new 4K scan that was completed by the team at MVD in partnership with MGM and their library of films, and it was a controversial release because when they first announced this title, they weren't going to do any HDR color grade, no HDR10, no Dolby Vision, none of it. They announced that this would be SDR only, sort of like a Blu-ray, but would still be a 4K scan. And this was something that Kino Lorber had done with some of the Clint Eastwood westerns, and so it wasn't like crazy uncommon. So there were a lot of comments, and I wouldn't necessarily call it outcry, but a lot of feedback that like, hey, this should really be color graded correctly with some HDR, with some Dolby Vision. And so MVD actually meant to put this out months ago, and they delayed it so that they could go back in and do a complete HDR Dolby Vision color grade, which is not cheap and is not quick. That takes a lot of time and money. So I give them huge credit for going back and sort of making it right and listening to the customer base who really thought it deserved that, and rightfully so, because if you look at the Blu-ray, that color grade is a little orangey. It's a little too warm. It's a little orange red. Skin tones are off. Some of those colors, like the higher end orange and reds and the highlights, they're a little bit off. And thankfully, MVD has gone back and they corrected that. This is a much more natural feel. It's not like teal blue. It's not like they completely went to the opposite side of the spectrum, but they met right in the middle, probably where this film should be. That the skin tones look natural, and it's not overly warm, it's not overly cool. It sits right there with that high dynamic range and all that extra color material that they can work with, and all that extra information, I think really lends itself well to this movie and corrected some of the mistakes or issues with previous releases of this on home video. Now, it's also a 4K scan of the original camera negative, which is always what we want. That's the highest quality, to go back to the negative, and this was kept in pretty good shape. I mean, it's an Oscar-winning film from MGM. Sounds like, based on what I've seen with other films in their catalog, that they did a pretty good job of preserving negatives at MGM, and this was approved by director Barry Levinson, so he had a look at it and he totally approved this transfer, which doesn't always mean it's going to be great, but it means that at least the person whose vision this was gave it a check mark. But it does look fantastic. Dolby Vision HDR, original 185:1 aspect ratio. Everything's sort of been corrected here. This is the most faithful presentation of this movie on home video to date, and it's an absolutely great way for the MVD Marquee Collection to kick off their 4K releases as they finally get into this market. They knocked it out of the park with Rain Man. It's just super sharp, that nice filmic look and feel that grain gives you that I love on these older films, and I just have to give them all the credit. They spent a lot of time on this, probably months longer than they wanted to, but it came out great. Now on the audio side, you got a DTS HD Master Audio 5.1. This has been previously available. They didn't rework this at all, and it's perfectly fine. The dialogue is clear. Where there are some bigger musical moments and some louder moments, it does kind of kick into full effect. But this is, again, a fairly dramatic, dialogue-driven film, and that's what I focused in on. Very clear, didn't have any issues, no volume control issues. It's exactly what you'd want from a film like this. It's not going to blow your system away. You could probably listen to this on a soundbar or even your TV speakers. I know, blasphemy for people in home theater communities, but really it's that type of movie. Like, you don't need 13 speakers to enjoy Rain Man. You really probably only need 1 or 2, but the 5.1 is a very nice mix. It's not overly dynamic, it's not huge and bombastic, but it does its job and it does it well. Now the packaging here, pretty standard stuff. This is pretty much what everyone thinks of when you think Rain Man is the two walking down the street like this. That's kind of, I believe, the poster art. They do throw in the winner of 4 Academy Awards, including Best Picture. And then on the inside, you're working with the same artwork here. Popping the case open, you do have the Blu-ray and the 4K with exactly the same artwork, and there is no digital code included with this release, so it's just the discs. Now for special features on the 4K disc, basically you've got 3 audio commentaries and then the original theatrical trailer. You get a commentary with director Barry Levinson, you get a commentary with writer Barry Morrow, you get an audio commentary with writer Ronald Bass. Now on the Blu-ray, they included a couple of extra features. There's some small featurettes on here. The Journey of Rain Man featurette. There's Lifting the Fog, looking at the mysteries of autism featurette, which is, and like I said, like it's maybe not the most up-to-date, accurate representation, but there's also deleted scenes in the original theatrical trailer. So a couple extra features in the Blu-ray, but the 4K packs 3 different audio commentaries, which is pretty solid for super fans, and of course an original theatrical trailer, which I always love because those are so cool, and honestly, they're kind of a disappearing art form. So overall, this release is really, really well done. You're probably upgrading for the picture quality in the HDR Dolby Vision first, and if that's what you're looking for, this is the best version of the film that's ever existed on home video. And sometimes we don't get that. I know it feels like I say that a lot, but there's a lot of misses out there, and this could have been a miss if they stuck with the SDR and maybe the old color grading. This could have been iffy, and they spent a lot of time to go back and fix this and to do Dolby Vision grading and HDR grading, which takes time and money and licensing and manpower. And so this is one of those titles that I say 100% go out and support, not only because it's a great movie and a great release, but because it's a really small team over at MVD who did a great job on this and actually listened to us. Not everybody listens to the collectors out there and the enthusiasts, and when we asked for a change, they gave us the change. They went back and did more work to make collectors and enthusiasts happy. And so if we're not supporting those releases with our money, then, who are we? We're hypocrites at this point. For everybody out there who said this needs to have Dolby Vision, this needs to have HDR, this is your time to talk with your wallet and go out and buy this release, because if you asked for it and they gave it to you, it's time to support them. Even if you didn't ask for it, this is a great disc that I think everyone should pick up. So if you want to pick this one up, you can buy it from Amazon. That's in the link in my description and in the pinned comment. If you use that link, that helps support me and the channel, so I appreciate it. But of course, you can get this at many other retailers as well. So you support who you want to support, but those Amazon links are there. I get a small percentage back on those, so thank you. I appreciate all of that support there. If you enjoyed this review and you want more content on 4K, Blu-ray, physical media, movie collecting, home theater, make sure you subscribe to the channel here so you never miss an update. Like this video so others will see it, and let me know in the comments if you guys will be picking this one up. Of course, as always, my social media links are down in the description, as well as links to all my other partners, discount codes, and ways you can support me and my partners, so thank you for checking those out. So anyways, just thank you for watching this review. That means the most to me, but hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Stay safe, stay healthy out there, and I will talk to you all soon.